Over here.
No sound, Robin.
There it is.
From John Cherry.
Yep, there it is. I got it. Okay, we're going to start this whole thing all over again because for some reason the freaking technology goes crazy. All righty, so welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. If you would, hit like and subscribe down there below. You saw me doing that without any sound. And if you would, hit that notification bell. Also, if you would, we have our second channel called Pars and Pours. It is a golf-centric whiskey channel, and I got something for that. Anyway, so we can get there. So that was just a complete amount of waste of time in the beginning, wasn't it? Okay, so I actually in the beginning said, would you actually trade your graphite shafts for steel? And normally when we're doing this, we're talking about irons, all right, or iron golf clubs. Irons in the way of golf clubs. My goodness gracious. Anyway, so the reason being is I had a job this time around, and it was from Jay, a repeat customer for us, and we had talked about changing shafts in order to get maybe a little bit lighter, a little more into the air, and the topic turned to a particular steel shaft, and it was this one right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well. Let's see if we can get it right here. We'll bring it back. There we go. Maybe if you do like that. There it is. It's the Zelos. All right, it's the Zelos, and it's the Zelos 7. And what's the 7 stand for? It's about a 70-gram shaft. In reality, it starts out as about 68 to 66-gram shaft. So technically, you could say it's a 60-ish gram shaft. And however, what it's for is for folks that have slower swing speeds and for that aren't really aggressive. So even if you had a medium swing speed and you were smooth, right? You were smooth like this, that this shaft could actually work for you. Okay. It's 70, we'll just stay with the 70 grams. Now, what happens when you make a steel shaft this light? A couple things. Number one, the butt section tends to get a little bit bigger in order to be able to handle a level of stiffness that they're looking for. And two, sometimes it can get brittle, okay? Or it might feel brittle only because there's such little material here that you go like, a guy,
60.
Huh?
His are 60 even lighter yet.
60 even lighter yet. And what can happen is you get a guy with an aggressive swing and maybe bounce it off his back, hit into the ground a little hard, and it could break a little bit easier. As easy as graphite? Maybe not, but maybe. It just, it's like golf. It all depends, right? And so let's see so I replaced these. Well, let's see what they look like right here. So I put them in some Elites, right? The very first set I did for him were Mizuno, I believe they're HM Pros. This time we're doing Elites, and these things were brand new. So not only are we're modifying a club, but when you get a brand new club and they get asked to do these things, I have this certain expectation that, well, they're going to look brand new when I give them back to them, not like some clod put them together. And so this is what you get when you look at it. That's cleaned up, ready to go. This is after the work is done. And then here's the Zelos shafts. I know that's not very good. Yeah, that doesn't help you either. But that's where they come from. So what he had in them were some, I believe they're MMTs, and the MMTs were in the 70 gram range. But MMTs tend to be, they have a stiffer profile. Let's put it that way. They just have a stiffer profile, and probably was not the fit. The weight was probably correct, but the profile was not. You can be a lot more aggressive with the MMT. So again, if you're an older golfer and your tempo is quick, right? Your tempo is quick, then the MMT might be a better fit. But if you're more of a swinger and less of a hitter, this is a shaft that could work for you. Now, another question would be like, well, yeah, you just traded out that, but now I can feel every stingy, every off-center hit. And that's the trade, right? Because graphite is a tremendous shock absorber. So what do? Well, they make those inserts that I've shown you guys before. They look like straws with the pieces of insulation of those quarter-inch styrofoam type insulation wrapped around them, and they get inserted in there, and they can suck up some of that vibration. Another thing you could do, although he did not opt for this, was put like a wind grip or a super stroke full swing grip on there that has an underlayment in it. Okay. But you could do that for this, and why not, right? And why not? And he liked it so much on the first set that he changed these other ones into that. And his name is Jay, and Jay's been a very good customer of ours, to the point, I will say, that he always throws me these really cool gifts. And I don't know if you can see one. It's a Navy. Remember that Navy hat? It's all the way in the back. It's a Navy hat, and it has the rope on it. It has the Navy symbol. He also sent me a blue one that has the goat on it. Well, now I've got that. It's a more of a corn yellow or golden yellow as opposed to what you're seeing there. There you go. With the Navy insignia, ooh-ah, right? And it is a hybrid head cover, and it does have a place on my bag right there in the middle. It'll look about like that. Okay, over there. So thank you, Jay. Thank you very much. He also sent a box of steaks. So, I mean, this guy's not all bad at all. But again, thank you, Jay. We appreciate it. It was not required, but we do appreciate it. So that's what that was. So he switched. So why would you switch? Well, in a case that you might have the right weight, but the profile is bad, right? Now, and I don't mean bad as in it's a bad made shaft. It's just bad for you. All right. So if you're an aggressive guy and you have this very whippy shaft, much like this Zelos is, you're probably not going to like it, but you very well might like that MMT, and vice versa is the concern. The second concern would be vibration, right? Would be vibration. Now, it was funny because of both of these. He sent me the same style of grips, although, and he made it. He wanted me to add an extra layer of tape underneath, and we used. You can see it there. Here we go. We use those. He likes iomic grips. Those were the navy blue ones that went good with the shaft. It was a good setup, and we went a little bit bigger. And as it turns out, I thought they were going to be extraordinarily light. Turns out they were one swing weight point difference. So if you like the first ones, he's really going to like these too. So because you're going to get that zip off the face from the Elites, you're going to get that player's look at a dress from the Elites. You're going to get that pop, is particularly if you're a good ball striker, you're going to get that pop from it. and then you're going to get the lightweight that's going to allow you to bring the club around. Now, another one is because of the weight, you're not going to lose anything on swing speed. All right. And typically, and we've seen it, right? If you're swinging a 120 gram shaft, let's just say 90 mile an hour, and you go to something lighter, say 105 even, you might be able to pick up a couple of mile per hour. Could be, right? Particularly if you're comfortable with it. And you can really, really, really do good. All right. So that's what we're looking at. So that was, it was really a treat to be able to go the other direction. Now, the other part we're going to talk about here is when we get to these guys, those are 370s. I would have never guessed. But 370 goes into the elite, and he stopped at the pitching wedge, which is kind of unique. So I hope Jay understands that there's a little bit of room. So when the elites come through, because they're so strong, that traditional sets would come with a pitching wedge and a gap wedge. Well, these come with a pitching wedge, an attack wedge, and a gap wedge to get to the same spot. That's how strong these clubs are. Okay. Not saying it's wrong, right, or indifferent. And it's just that's the way they're built. Now, I will say this, and if you're listening, I should have sent it to an email, and I very well may do it when I'm done. When you get to the point where your swing speed gets low, and don't get caught in the trap of the lower loft makes you what?
Something's going on. Can only see you there like that.
Huh.
John told me. I didn't see it.
Is he looking on his iPhone? It's going to look up and down.
He said my laptop and TV have the black sides.
Huh. All right. Well,
my iPhone looks good, but this does not.
Well, that's what I get for trying. I'm going to hide the vertical.
Don't hide the vertical.
I just got to.
Okay.
So there it is. I can't do anything about it right this very second, I don't think.
Remember, it's not me. It's those.
It's the way that it looks.
All right.
Let's see. Nope. When you get to the point, so they have so what they do is they added a feature. If you guys got black, don't get caught in the trap of the lower loft. It's showing that. Well, are you watching off of YouTube?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube.
Huh.
Oh, it's behind. Hold on a minute. And you might have fixed it.
No, I didn't fix it. Let's see if we can. Replace asset, rename. Vertical. I don't want vertical. I want this. Let's see if we can make that work. That's what I get for trying. I'm going to hide the vertical. I can't get it. I just got to. Introducing. Can't do anything about it right this very second. All right. 3-dot justification. Let's see if I can get rid of it. Nope.
Someone else says, I see as if I'm using my iPhone. I'm on my PC.
Yeah. A 3-dot menu. Oh, wait. Maybe it's up here. Rebrand, duplicate brand. Okay,
This is what John gets on his TV.
I know what he's getting.
Okay.
But I can't stop it right from here. There's no place for me to go in order to. I'd have to go back. I don't want to show the vertical. I want it gone. Let's see. Oh, wait, right there. What is that? Name and headline. Look at that. I can find every damn option I want here except for the one that I want. In typical fashion. They give you something good to use and it doesn't work worth a crap. All right. So what I did was I used, it's called dual mode. And it says upload assets as usual, open the 3-dot menu to replace or adjust specific orientations, hide, show, find each variant if you're perfectly, how to use it. Let's see if I can get through this thing while you guys are watching me do this. Add files. I don't need that. However, okay. There we go. Okay, well, maybe I do know how to do it. Let's go like this. Yeah, got it. So is this... Let's see if this is going to help. A couple more here. Bear with me. All right, I got that. I got that. Hopefully, I go into settings. General. Nope. Camera. Got that going. Audio's going. Visual effects. I don't have any. Layouts. Don't have any of that. All right. All right. I got all that. Let's see if I can do this. Nope. Don't have that either. I want to show the vertical. Well, fellas, I've gotten about as far as I can possibly get while I'm looking at all this. Let's see. So it's going to look like you're looking on a thing. I will make sure that does never happens again. This is about as gross as it can possibly get, in my opinion. And no, I don't need to do that either. All right. Hopefully this helps. I tried doing that, but that shouldn't do anything different. And nope. All right, we're going to keep going. Yep. There's no 3 dots to adjust to. All the 3 dots I use don't even go to where I need it to go. So a lot of help. Thank you, StreamYard. Anyway, let's get back to it now that I'm totally off topic. So anyway, that's it for getting through going from steel to graphite. I've ate that one up enough. Another one. We did a fitting for a gentleman that is newly back to Ohio. And this was a fun one in that he was my age and just recently retired, and he was a golfer from way back, gave it up for family issues, and now he's getting back into it because his grandson likes to do it. Perfect. And using whatever his son was done using or whatever that matter. And he was a taller fellow with shorter arms. And we ended up going a half of an inch over. But I think what was happening is that he was leaning over so much that it was hard to make a turn. And he said, I keep pushing everything. Well, so into the lesson mode we went. I got him to take his chin out of his chest, and then I got him to stand up a little straighter. The minute he did that, he started smoking the ball. Now, because of all these other issues that he was doing with, he gotten on several bad habits. He put the ball way back in his stance the entire time. And I said, okay, so we got the chin out, we got the chest up, and then we moved the ball forward, and now the ball is going nothing but left. And that's because he was so busy making it. Had the over the top, but it was an over the top with a shut club, and everything was going to his left. Well, I said, but he was striking it a factor of tenfold better. All right, we went from 130, 140 to 150, 160. Okay, it just on contact alone. And then he started speeding up after he got very confident with it. So that was a great thing. Okay, and we put him in a set of. It was funny. It was like the best fitting for letting people know the differences. And what he ended up getting into was the Strixon ZXI driver and hybrids. He absolutely destroyed those things. And he hit the Elite driver about the same, but he liked the feel and the look of the other one. So that's where he went with it. We ended up with some Elite irons, but I put in a medium shaft for him, a dynamic gold mid. 90, we're going to make it a half an inch long, a couple degrees up, and he's hitting the crud out of it. And then we went with a jumbo grip for him, so the club is going to be made a little bit lighter. So it was all things are really good. The one thing that we improved on tremendously, there we go. Maybe that'll help. The thing that we did that was tremendous, that we improved on tremendously, was his putting. He had a 33, 34-inch putter, and when I set him up to it, I have my putter jig goes up and down and side to side, and when he stood up to putt, it was a 37-inch putter. Man, oh man, the difference was amazing. And the way that he was putting, he had like a pop stroke. And so once we got through that, we showed him what could work and what wouldn't and things like that, and really just made his putting game come alive. That was really cool. Okay, so we got that one. Going back. Here we go. We did that one. I got to do my ambiguous "what'd you cook for dinner" thing. Prime rib. Did a prime rib. Small prime rib, but prime rib nevertheless. Turned out to use a different coating I found at Kinder's makes a prime rib coating. And all they did was a little bit of olive oil and some of this on the outside. Voila. Tastes really good. And then the last thing on the outside is that Robin and I went to the first Capital bourbon tasting. And yes, it was bourbon tasting, and the first Capital is considered Chillicothe here. And what we did was, it was a tasting. Basically, all the proceeds went to the local, it was outdoor drama called Tecumseh. And it's a play or an outdoor drama about the Indian Tecumseh and the leader that he was. And this was just part of it. It was just before things got started. The place was packed, absolutely packed, and had some pretty decent things to choose from. A very nice setting. All right, last thing before I start answering questions. All right, I told you this is, I'm going to do this. Is going to be a topic of pars and pours, but it's going to work. Project X. Project X is a shaft, obviously, that is now owned by True Temper and is known for being for better golfers. This is Penelope's Project X, and it has been stored, stashed, refinished, and has been refinished in sherry casks. And just to kind of give you an idea of how dark this can be, there's another one. Okay, so that's where it's going. So they're both very well done shafts and well done pours. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to allude to that more on the other channel. I thought that was kind of fun to run into something like that. All right, now that we've destroyed this whole entire vibe, let's go answer some questions. All righty. Krister's here, and he's saying first day below 25. All right. So it's now cold. It's cold in Sweden. It got down to 20 degrees last night for us, and that was cold enough. It's going to be in the 50s the rest of the week, though. So that means Krister is certainly in his indoor league mode now. Emmanuel, what do you say, sir? Hopefully you're feeling well. We want to hear good reports. Is there a difference in feel between mid-size and standard with enough wraps to make it mid-size? Seems like a waste of tape. Just get mid-size. Well, turns out while I was doing I didn't put it in my video, that is coming out tomorrow. I do have one that's coming out tomorrow. That I talk about mid-size and I talk about them. So if we assume it takes about 3 added rolls of tape to get to a mid-size, that comes out to about 6 to 7 grams in tape, at least for me. All right, and that's just the build-up tape. That's not the double-sided tape because you're going to use that either way. And typically between a mid-size and a standard grip is it can be anywhere from that 6 to 10, depending on what you're getting, right? So there's a real possibility that you could make it lighter. They can make it lighter, making the swing weight heavier. That might be a heck of a trick to use if you're really, really struggling for a swing weight. But you got to be very, very careful because they're going to be close, and the amount of grams that you're going to save may be imperceivable because you're only going to be talking about one swing weight. Okay, one swing weight, and so that's a problem. So, but as far as a size difference in feel, yeah, I think there's a difference in the feel. I can tell one's bigger than the other. Again, what we're looking at here is, or what we're feeling is, so when I go to grab this and I say, hey, this thing feels, I'm going to look at it too because this one actually feels a little bit bigger. Let me get this open. And it is. It is a mid-size. It's a mid-size. When I grabbed this, I said, man, this feels just a little bit big, particularly for a Tour Velvet. Where this guy, and this guy's a mid-size too, so I can't really just show it to you. But yeah, for this, is there a difference? I would say yes, there's a difference in the feel. If you put them together, you would certainly notice it. Would a lot of people understand or notice it if you just gave them one and sent them on their way? Maybe not. There some people that are very meticulous that use their hands a lot, carpenters, doctors, dentists, ones that are really, craftsmen, would they certainly would probably feel a difference because they're sensitive in the hands. But other folks, probably not. There's Mr. Jesse. How are you, sir? Hope everybody's fit as a fiddle. Me too. The answer is no. For some reason, I have more faith in graphite. Now, I don't want to. I don't want this to come off that hey, you need to go. You need to leave graphite for steel. That's not the case whatsoever. The point of this is that things that are important in a shaft: weight, flex, profile, right, and then overall for the club length. It's very important. It's almost as important, if not more so, that the profile fits. All right, giving somebody an ultra stiff profile that's very, 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 very smooth it'll feel boardy. It may not feel good at all, and who's going to like that? Whereas in the opposite is true. You get somebody that's very aggressive, and you give them it's the same flex and it's the same weight, but you give them something that's a profile that may be, let's say, weaker in the butt section, and they're going to be all over the map because the club is not going to react the same. That's why that's that important. All right. There's Peter from Myrtle Beach, 73, 75 in the nice weather. We had some nice weather up here too. That was really cool. What do you think, buddy? Huh? Not bad. I think that's pretty cool. It'll be in the bag next time we're down there for sure. There's John. What do you say, buddy? Been away a while. Hello, Robin, Jim. I'd lose too much distance going back to graphite, I think. Again, it's I didn't want to throw any shade on either one because they both have their advantages and they both have their disadvantages. It just depends on what you like. Okay. Now, for those of you that believe that graphite's too flexible, I can name at least two shafts right now that you could put in your club and it will stay with you to the point almost unplayable. One of them would be the KBS TGI and put it in the 100, I think it's 115. Oh, 110. It's a 110. And Acra's TZ line. You get up in that 115 range with them, that thing is so brutishly stiff, you had better come around like Bryson DeChambeau. And that would be the other one, would be the LA golf shafts. Those things are just absolutely nutty too. So they're on there. Yep, hopefully we got her figured out now. Greetings, everyone, says John Cherry from Myrtle Beach. Yep, hopefully we got her fixed. Okay. Yep. No Audi. I wish I had one. Those are nice club. Alrighty. Oop, we got it. We got it. Got it. Got it. There we go. Ooh, I like that one. Jack Greenfield got himself a guitar. Okay, here we go. TK PGA Pro. Hello, Jim. I'm looking to replace my wedge shafts. My irons are Project X 5.5s. What are your top wedge shaft recommendations? Thank you. Well, just so happens if you, for a guy that's playing PGA Pro like type stuff, and you were wanting to replace your shafts, Project X makes a wedge shaft that should fit that exactly. Hey, look at that. Find it, Project X, right? There we go. Project X. Look at this. It's like a whole karma thing going on. They do make a wedge shaft. They make a 5.5, a 6.0, and a 6.5 shaft. And they're all in the same profile. They're just a little bit less in the weight. And because of that, they're a little bit less in the flex. And that's not a bad thing either. So if you wanted to stay in that same feel, same fly, the whole 9 yards, I would look at the Project X wedge shaft in that same flex. I would go there first. Okay. After that, going in the same area, you could do a couple of things. Another one that's a good steel wedge shaft that I tend to like is the Nippon Modus wedge shaft, and they got a 115 wedge shaft. That would tend to work out really good. And then my last pick of the three being a best one would be in staying in steel because there are some graphites out there. I would probably look at not Apollo, not Acra. DG makes one. I would try my best at a in the same arena. Yeah, the other one would be I would go with a KBS model. The KBS makes they have their version of the spinner, and they have the high rev, and then a high rev 6.610. The 610 just means of the butt size, so I'd go with a high rev after that. That's where I'd go. Penny Golf. Any golf ball recommendations for a senior lady golf with a very slow swing speed? Yeah, there's a few out there. One of the first ones I would look at for you would be the Wilson Duo. The Wilson Duo is a very soft ball because the whole idea here now is a little bit of compression, a lot of spring, right? And that's what we're looking for. So Wilson Duo would be one of my first. The number one ball in that category, if I understand correctly, is actually the Callaway Super Soft. All right, that would be the second one. And the third one would be the Precept. They have the Laddie, but they also have the Lady. The Lady ball, and that one would probably work very, very well. And if you were looking for what's one more soft one? Oh, Srixon Soft Feel. One of those four should work. Now, if you're looking for colors, Volvic makes it, but they don't make a soft ball that I'm aware of. Callaway has colors, and Wilson used to have colors. I don't know if they do anymore. He didn't believe me. Thanks, John. I did believe her. She's helping me keep me straight. She does that. That's her job, to keep me straight, because I would go off on a tangent. Okay. All righty. Here's Otis. Hello. Thoughts on safely reshafting a ping copper putter? Oh, due to toxicity of the head when heated. Thanks. So, Otis, I happen to know a little bit about this one. Okay, a couple of things. If you really have a ping copper beryllium, or beryllium copper, sorry, if you have a real one, that would mean that it's ancient. And if it's ancient, it will have a ball bearing in it. All right, and I wish I've got one, not the head, but the ball bearing. And so, in order to be able to remove that shaft, if you haven't done already, it takes a lot of either patience, luck, or you've got to be able to live with a hole in the bottom of the hosel. What do I mean by that? So this ball bearing is in there as kind of their version of a press fit. Okay. And what you end up having to do is drilling a small enough hole in the bottom of the hosel, because it's probably a plumber's neck, right? And big enough so you can insert a punch. All right. And you're going to heat it up, and you're going to have to hold this putter. And I've got a rig that I use. Hold this putter upside down and take this punch and drive the ball bearing out of the hosel, which is about yay tall. And once you get it out of there, it comes apart easy peasy. Now, when you're asking about the toxicity of the head, that's called berylliosis, kind of right on the same lines of asbestosis. And the idea here is that it's a problem when you start grinding on it. Okay, you start putting particulate in the air, and that can get very, very problematic. That's the reason why I started doing that. I did it for years, shining them up, because everybody like, oh wow, these are really nice and shiny, and it would patina all over again. So if you're going to do that, you've got one of two options. And I am not an IH guy, but I know enough about it to be dangerous. So if you really, really wanted to grind on it and you're going to throw stuff in the air, I would wear a respirator of some variety. If nothing else, a half mask. And the half mask is something that goes right here. All right, full face gets you over there. I don't know if you necessarily want to do that. And then you want something that's going to stop a lot of particulate. Okay. It may very well call it out. You have to check. You have to be very, very careful about the filtration that you put, because you look right here, the old time drag racer. Uh, you have to be very, very, very careful about that. And I am not going to wear a half mask. I wore half mask for gobs of years. In fact, 2 generations worth. I'm not doing it anymore. And to the point, I don't want to even deal with that. But heating it up, and the amount of heat that you're going to need to pull it out, is not enough to get on the toxicity, at least in my opinion. But when you start drilling, you want to at least wear a mask. I don't think you're going to be throwing it everywhere. But if you were to grind it with, say, a wavy wheel or even sandpaper or something like that, then yeah, I would be masked up or have a truckload of ventilation to draw it away from me. All right. Hopefully that works. Helps you out. There's Robin saying hello to everybody. Well, we knew that Krister likes those X shafts. The MMT is a really good shaft, and for the way that Krister swings, he's got a whole lot of movement, and all of his power is delivered at the last second, because he doesn't use a truckload of wrist to get where he's at. He gets up to the top and he makes a really hard turn to get into it. I've seen you swing. And those types of shafts work really good for him. If I was to give him this guy right here, number one, after about 2 swings, he'd probably snap it, but his consistency would go straight out the door. Has nothing to do with the quality of the build, has nothing to do with whether it's steel or graphite, has everything to do with 2 things. Number one is the weight, and number 2 is the profile. All right, my mistake going back to steel. I think I'd lose distance maybe. Oh, okay. Gotcha. And if you get, again, appropriate weight, probably not a problem, but appropriate profile could be. Where's Charlie, Matt, and Kent? Yeah, I wonder where they're at today. There's Phil K. Hello, Jim, fellow golfers. Hope all is well. Going to start swinging this week like the little train. I think I can. Good for you, buddy. Hopefully the doctor has let loose for you so that you can get back into the game. Good for you. All right. What about a 5 hybrid graphite to steel? Question is, what kind of steel shaft would I use? You know, they used to make hybrid steel shafts, but they don't anymore. And what you really have to be careful of is 5 hybrid versus 5 iron and making sure the head weights are somewhere close. All right, that are somewhere close. A 5 iron will weigh anywhere from 248 to 256 in grams. If indeed you weigh the head and it's much heavier than that, you're going to need one of two things. You're going to need a stiffer shaft of the same variety. I wouldn't, and this is me just talking off the top of my head. So, for instance, let's say this head weighs 275. Now, the design of a hybrid and the design of an iron are obviously different. And there's more weight at the bottom, there's more mass traveling around, and you're going to get that. So if you're an R person, I would literally go get an S of that same make of shaft and put it in there. Why? Because that extra weight is going to soften the shaft to get you right where you need to be. Okay, and because of all that extra mass that's just floating around going like that, you're going to need it to be a little bit more beefy in order for you to bring it around. That's what I would look at. I'm really trying to think of what would make a good hybrid shaft. Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I know Nippon made one that was they said half graphite, half steel. And what it was a steel shaft, and then they put this velvety type coating over it. And I think they called it the Ghost, something along that lines. I would look seriously for that. Those are probably not continued anymore. What else? And if you're just going to steel for weight, Charles, Uh, if you're going to just for weight, then I would probably look at I would either look at the standard DG mid or the Modus 120. And the reason why I say is they're a little softer in the middle, and it might take that extra weight and actually allow you to kick it a little bit. That's where I would go with it. But if you're just going to steel and you think you need a little bit more from a consistency point of view, meaning that you're spraying it every which way, number one, I would look at the proper length. It might be too long, could be too short for that matter, but you probably don't have the proper length. The other one is that there are several hybrid shafts out there that are very, very stiff and very weak. So you might want to consider that too. All right, Rob wants to know, Phil, how's the thumb? Painful, but improving. Okay. Dr. City can try swinging. Well, swing with just the other hand first. Get that turn going. All righty. Golf Addict's back. Hope all is well. This is the man that gets the award for most rounds in a year, in a golf year. Now, this is also something that is very relative. He's up in Canada, and his golf season is not almost as short as Krister's. Not quite, but pretty close. But he got some record number of rounds in. I couldn't hope to get that in 3 years. Well done, dude. Well done. Yeah, I'm staying away from it. I'm not nearly as bad as I was last week. That was horrible. I see you as if I'm running my iPhone on my PC. I know it's a so we'll address it. So StreamYard came out with this option with the idea that you could go in vertical or horizontal mode. I was under the impression that it was going to show up both. As if you were on an iPhone, it was going to show up like an iPhone. If you're on looking at horizontal, it was going to be that way. Well, apparently that's not true. And there are ways that you can go in and go out, but I can't I'm trying every button on here that you guys can't see it, but every button I am trying to find that there's a space that tells you, do you want to do dual mode? Well, not anymore. So going forward after today, that will never ever happen again. So the best I can tell you is turn your TV sideways. Yeah, no, don't do that. Okay. Make sure you click on the correct one. I had 2 on my page for this. I just clicked on the other one. Oh, there's another one. Steven's got one. YouTube has 2 versions. Make sure you click on the correct one. Hey, there we go. Maybe that's it. When I look at it, I see nothing but horizontal because I got rid of the vertical looking because it was just 2 of me doing the same thing. Robin McCleary, 3968. What is that? Oh, man. You guys ever got numbers signed to your sides of you? All right. Says, hello. Where's Lawrence? What do you say, bud? It was a fun week playing in the wind. I was a club short on many approach shots, but I got up and down, was 4 over on 9, was very close to only being 2 over. That's a heck of a round. In those inclement conditions, bud, if you can play to that level, that's awesome. There you go. And Golf Addict, he's the one, he went all tailor-made on us too, but he's got shafts that all meet and marry up to the way that he plays. Robin saying hello. Saying hello. There's John. Is the Denali Red 50-gram shaft a good one? Yes. So I like it. I think so there are several different colors, okay, John, and the colors might be proprietary, meaning that I've seen a lot of red, but typically only with Wilson. I saw a lot of charcoal, but only with Callaway. In aftermarket, I've seen blue and I've seen black, and black has been out there with all the companies, but blue is an aftermarket product. So you have to be very, very careful about what you're getting. Personally, in the Wilson, I like that shaft. It's a little bit stiffer, but man, oh man, does it work. There we go. Hello, Jack, PGA, Charles, and Lawrence. There we go. Went to graphite shafts once, recoils, but they were too soft, and it got ugly quick. So I went back to steel. Yep. And again, for him, and the recoils, if he went softer, and I'm pretty sure he probably put an X in it, the way that those felt, there was probably a lot of torque in those, and that's not what we were looking for. But as you can tell, he says he had MMTs, and he really liked the MMTs. Well, the MMTs are a much stiffer profile than the recoils are. M. Jackson Jones, all my irons except for 2 are graphite, but 2, 4, and 5, and as soon as I can find them used, they will be graphite. There you go. You can also look at just reshafting them too in the same stuff. That's always a possibility. Now, I've played in my, right now I have steel in mind, but they're 90 gram. Okay. For the longest while, I played 90 gram graphite. And the 90 gram graphite, I played Acra for years. I also played the TGI because it was the only thing out. Both of those are extraordinarily stiff, okay, in their profile. It's stiff in their profile. Both of them are very butt stiff profiles. And but now they got the PGI in the 90, which is a much more friendlier version, and Acra has the I series, a much more friendlier version. Well, when you get in the 90 grams, they become CWTs, which is constant weight, and for me that would work just fine. But what I did is I went to these in the 90 gram and the steel, and again, because we're going away from the 120, so if you work at 120 and you start lowering weight in the steel shafts, you can try and make them as stiff as you want, but they tend to play a little softer. Now I know we got 105s from Nippon that play plenty stiff. Their profile is really good. The dynamic golds had a 105. Those are plenty stiff, but as a whole, they become less and less uh, stiff in the way that they look. Now, graphite's just the opposite. As you start leaving 70, 80 and you start going the other way, you have to add more meat to the shaft. And when you add more meat to the shaft, the torque stops getting big and starts getting smaller. It's very different. Let's see if it's going to get me. Nope. Oh, it did. Anyway, so that's what it is. All right. Hope you are doing well. Yes, we are. Thank you, sir. Frank Wanzi, what do you say, bud? Howdy from East Tennessee. I have a putter question. Okay. Is zero torque merely putting the shaft in the center of the head, or is it more than that? It is more than that. If it was putting it in the head, in the beginning of the head, it would only be center shafted. Okay. Now, that's the beginning of the process, to be sure. You can put a head in there and it'd be hard, but it would still want to, you could twist it, all right? It's very susceptible to the twist. And a lot of the things where these things work best is if you have the right lie angle for these. So now when you move the putter shaft towards the center, you have to flatten it ever so slightly. So if you've said, well, I need a 70-degree club, and you put a 70-degree club in the center shaft, chances are it's going to play very up and you're going to toe dig. Okay. Now, does it make it center like this and make it wants to putt like this? It certainly does. And the very first one that I ever saw that did it was called the Positive Putter. It was out of Indianapolis. And in fact, I've got one. In fact, I got two, as a matter of fact. And they're both mine. And when they swing, they were the first ones. You remember the Revealer, right? Well, these guys were the ones that started that. And now what they did is they had a block, and the face had zero loft in it. And what they did is they drilled a 4-degree or a 3-degree lie angle or a loft angle into it, and then whatever, if you wanted, they had a 70-degree drill, a 69-degree drill, that kind of stuff. But they also had, the way that this was designed was the bottom of the putter was very much curved. It was very curved. It was like, imagine this upside down. All right, I can't even get there. But so anyway, that's where we would, and so even if you were a little bit up or down, it would still putt through at that design. Well, that was a long time ago. Here comes Lab, and what they have done is they've given you the proper lie angles so that you can actually see it, and then they put all this weight on the outside, both sides, the front and the back, so it becomes extraordinarily stable. Okay. People are figuring that out. You've seen it, right? Bettinardi's got one. Callaway's got one. The guy that made the Fat Lady Sings. What is his name? Good golly, he made for Cobra for a while. Pretty decent guy. He's got one, and if you look, none of them look too impressive, but it's in the center, but I think they're a little flatter, and I believe they're a little bit more forward. Okay, now the first zero torques that you see, or square to squares, last year's they weren't very good. They had this closed face on them, and they were leaning forward a lot to do that very thing. They're just too far back. Now they've moved them up forward for this year. I should talk about they moved them up forward a little bit. So now that instead of having all this extra room, it has a little bit of room in going forward, so it won't look like it's shutting. Okay. Now, I will say this, and since you asked that question, Frank, this year Callaway is releasing what's called the Tri-Hot putter. And the Tri-Hot, if you go back far enough, the Tri-Hot was a three-piece putter that was put together in order to give you a lot of MOI, a lot of feel, and a lot of weight. Now they've come back, and all the Tri-Hot putters will feature this square-to-square technology, meaning that they'll have a Model 7, they'll have a wide body, they'll have a Rosie, and they will have another one. And they will all be center shafted. They will all be square to square, and they will also be very expensive. I believe they're going to run somewhere between $550 and $600 a putter. You're going to have to, and again, it's squarely aimed at lab golf. You make the decision if whether or not you think that's right or not. But that's where it's at. It is a little bit more. You're really, really close, Frank. I will say that. You're very, very close. The rest of it's a little tweaking, so to speak. I saw sick new irons. They're looking great, but 7 irons, 31 degrees. Oh, that's pretty strong. We got here, Dev Dog. Hi, Jim. For someone starting on their own build shop, how would you establish your service product charges? Do you compare with local retailers? I absolutely do. Matter of fact, it just depends on where you want to position yourself. Okay? It just depends on where you want to position yourself. Are you somebody that's trying to save them? I'll put it like this, and you can make your own decision. I'm not telling you what to do by any shape of the imagination. Number one, yes, I compare myself to the local retailers, and I match, and I may be just a tad over from them. Now, why do I do that? Because I'm probably more experienced and been doing it longer than everybody combined in any one of the retail stores. Okay, and so people are paying for our expertise as well as our ability to get it done quicker. So it's a twofer. The other part is in your business profile, are you going to establish yourself as the expert, or are you going to establish yourself as somebody who can get it done? And what I mean by that is typically there are two models. There is high volume, low profit, and then there is low volume, high profit. And I'm sure there's models that are in between. And you have to figure out where you want to be with that. Right? You can be ultra busy and make, say $3 a club on putting a grip on. Or you can go to $5 a grip and do fewer and do just fine. So it's really up to how you want to set yourself up. That's number one. So the idea of how you would establish yourself is if there's a lot of competition, how are the other people positioning themselves within the community? Are they people that, this is a guy I know we'll just go to, or are you going to be the guy that this is the guy that knows what he's doing, and you know that when you get it, it's going to be correct, or is it just a convenience? And that's where you got to go with that. Jim Cavalaris, man, we got some new ones here. Okay, I'm seeing if this thing is good. It's not moving now, so good for us. All right. Would you agree that if you have graphite shafts in your irons, why would you not have graphite sands in your wedges? My 125 gram seals days are over. Yes. So, and is that sonar or radio? It's sonar. It's got to be. Well done. So yes, I would agree. Number one, because you have graphite shafts in your irons, typically they're a little lighter, right? That's just the nature of graphite. And in order to have a nice smooth transition, it'll still be heavier, just not sledgehammer heavy. And yes, I would say going to graphite wedge shaft makes all kinds of sense. There are some that are graphite out there that are 90 grams that are perfect, right? Absolutely perfect. There are some that are 65? To me, that's a little light. But if If you have a bunch of 65 grams and you like that feel and that flex, then okay. I've seen some 80s out there, but 90 seems to be the traditional next wedge shaft, and that's a pretty decent number. It's still 30 grams lighter, still has the wedge shaft flex or the way that it performs, and you still get that wedge feel. Okay. There you go. See, Krister tested all these, the Axioms, the MMTs, the Wishon red. I don't know if that would be all that or enough, but you like the red the best. Really? I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have thought that the red would have been that profile for you. But there you go. That's me thinking again. Robin saying hello. Robin saying hello. Robin saying hello. And you're welcome. Glad to hear. Then you can call me the peanut gallery. No doubt. My dog Rex made it in. Well done, sir. Jimmy Thompson, we have a bunch of new ones today. Well done. This is a lot of fun today. They're taking place of our regulars. All right. My P wedge and 8 iron M2 with Graphite 70 seem to be coming out. Took it to the local golf shop and he claimed that it was just the ferrule rising. Thoughts? Okay. It can be, right? It can be. So a couple of checks to do. Number one, so see this guy right here? Let me see if I can get going. There we go. The logo on the shaft. So if the logo on the shaft is in line with the head and it doesn't look like it's turned one way or to another, okay. The other one is to measure it and see if it is in line, if it's in line with the 7 iron, the 9 iron, in order to measure it against your 8 and your pitching wedge. And if they're in line, again, he could be correct. If they're off, then or it's turned, then no. All right. There have been plenty of times where they get in the back of cars, might get in a hot environment, that little plastic gets loose, and it slides up. It will slide up. Now, if it's a collared, and this is a M2, so it probably does have a collar. And so what's important here is that you put it back in because that collar is providing some support. So what I like to do is, if you can, I put like a little dab of Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, whatever you want, because all it's doing is holding it in place. And what I do is I will take the head and I will put it in a vise. So the end of my hand is the vise, and this is the ferrule. And what I'll do is I'll clamp on there, and then I will pull, and it'll push that ferrule into the head. And then you just let it sit there for a few seconds and you should be good to go. However, if you've seen it where it looks like it's turned, when you go to align it and it looks like it's turned, it's done. Have it pulled, put it back in, pay for the peace of mind. But if it doesn't and it's the same length, then the club guy could be very, very correct. But if he didn't look at it, then I go back again. He tested. The JPX High Fly. I really liked it. No shot went left. Really? That's pretty interesting. And the High Flies, you can get a hybrid in. Well, can you still? The High Flies, I think. The High Flies you can get in steel because they're made to be right with the irons. That's a pretty good idea. I've always been that. Oh, come on. You're my keep me in my lane person. Thanks, Jim. You're welcome. I have a Denali Blue. It plays half a flex stiffer according to True Temper. Yeah, when you play it, I would say even if you took an inch off, I bet it plays even a bit more than that. A half a flex, that's a lot for a 1-inch tip. Probably a little bit more. John Lamb says he went back to steel Nippon. In the ping, the ascending weight technology, threw some foam dampers in there, lighter, softer grip, take care of the golfer's elbow. Found my dispersion way tighter with high flight. There you go. There's one reason to go that way. All my irons are graphite. 1, 3, and 5 are steel using ping blondes. Ooh, have just have just found the weight of the shafts. I have more accuracy. The woods I hit more accurate with steel. I guess I'm just weird. Oh, not really, but using ping blondes, yeah. The ping blondes, I'd say so, but the that's okay. What's probably happening with the Ping blondes, John, is the fact that when Ping made those, that they were so shut, it wasn't even funny. When they go out and they go down and they go closed. They're beautiful, and I had a set. I had a set of those, and they were very, 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 very shut, and hit the living daylights out of them until they split. But yeah, I like them. And the thing is, when those right there, that's a little different too, John. The 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 steel shaft that went inside those blondes had a tip section that was about a third smaller than what convention has today. There we go. John Lamb. Now I have to wrestle with Christmas lights, straighten out the strings, check the bulbs, replace busted hangers. Saw a day on the ladder. My bionic knee is gonna love it. Yeah, we what we do is we break out a tree and we put a bunch of golf ornaments on it, and that suffices as ours. And we stopped doing the lights when the kids went away. And our road has 4 houses on it, so we really don't want to do that. But I do dig on those guys that take all the time and the effort that they make up those really special lights that they blink to music, and they've got Christmas trees that sing and all that kind of stuff. I gotta give a nod to them. That's a lot of work, but the end result is really cool. Hope you guys are well. Yep, thank you, sir. Bobby Grace, that's the guy. Well done, Pinion. Well done, Bobby Grace. I met that guy once when he was just after Fat Lady Swings. Uh, he was coming out with another one, and it was an insert that he said that whether you're out at the end of the insert or the middle insert, the ball would go the same, and he showed it, and it did. McGregor M 6.4 center shafted putter last year. Do I remember that? I don't remember that one for you. That'd be a good one. Liam Murray, we got more in there. Awesome. Is there an equipment setup you would recommend for fitting for amateurs? I want to fit friends and family to avoid accounts at manufacturers. To avoid accounts at manufacturers. Is there an equipment setup you would recommend? Oh, I see. Are you asking about non OEM clubs? Um, well, let's see. It has been a hot minute. Very first people I would look for is Washawn. Okay. They're over in England, but they've got a thing going on. You just got to talk to them and see what it's all about. I would go with them first. Washawn makes a series of the options that they have and the things they can help you with, top notch. Okay. Washawn would be number one. Number two, if you were so inclined, if you live further away, would be Golfworks for the Maltby line. They have a TE line, they have a Maltby line, and they too are very much in that same category as with Washawn. The reason why I did not use them is they're so close to where I live, and they're like, well, they were putting clubs together for $10, and I was charging at least double that, if not more. And I would just to avoid the question, well, how come you charge $20 more than or $10 more than these guys are doing it for 10? And the differences were staggering, but I just I just avoided the whole thing. Now, the quality of their equipment is very, very good, and their support once you get in there is very, very good as well. Third, if you wanted to jump outside the box, there used to be a group called Alpha. Yes, Alpha. Pretty sure that's their name. Yeah, it was Alpha, and they made their selection was a little bit lower, and but uh, they it was pretty neat quality stuff. Now there were other ones. If you wanted to go exotic, right? Exotic, you could go with Mura, and you could go with Vega, or you could go with another one. Look up Swing Science. All right, look up Swing Science. That'd be the other one. Those would be the ones I. There are others out there, but those are the ones I would prefer to work with. Okay, uh, Swing Science, and they have a lead into with, I believe they're called uh, Epon. Epon, yeah, that would be it. Epon, and then that way you have a plethora of middle of the road, and then you have your exotic stuff. Look at us go talking about businesses and stuff. All right, how would you suggest someone learn the proper procedure to grind wedges? Can you buy blank wedges to ooh, can you buy a blank wedge? Huh. I have to think about that one. Can you buy a blank wedge? I believe that you can. You used to be able to buy blanks from a place called what were they called? I don't think they're in business anymore, so I'd be telling you a lie. I think you can, but what I would do is I would buy the wide sole grind or the wide sole wedges, and the ones that the ones that are being and these same places I just mentioned, and go to there and get their wide sole grinds and just practice on that. So what I did, how I learned to grind is I took a master's class, and a couple guys were really expert grinders, so I got to learn a little bit there. But what I ended up doing and learning how to grind and the little bits of techniques is I actually ended up going to Golf Works, and they had some Max Fly Australian blades in the rough. And I mean rough. They still had the flanging or the flaring on them from there. There was no uh, there was no coating on it. It was rough right out of the box. And so I learned to, and it was all the different kinds. I learned to grind off the extras. I learned to grind bounce. I learned to grind soles front and back. I learned to take off toes and heels because I bought an entire box of them and played with it until I got to where I thought I was proficient. And then I went back to all those and I learned how to polish. That's the second half. Once you got the grind, you got to learn how to polish. And do you want the satiny polish, or do you want the shiny polish? And satiny is easy, but it's also rust quicker. So you got to be careful of that. But honestly, if you can find who had them, oh geez, it's been so long. Is one of these like the Vegas or the Alphas or somebody like that had them, and that you could just buy them raw if you wanted to buy raw clubs, and grind off of it. But that's how I learned to do it, was just watching that. Again, right now, back in the day, YouTube wasn't a thing, so you had to actually communicate with people. And the guy kind of took me under his wing for a day while we were out of school, and we learned to grind. And that was the big thing. That was the part of the test, was grinding in order to pass. And so we had to do that, and get you 20, 30 of them in order to learn how to do a little heel and toe relief. That was the other way I also did it too. I spent a couple of days on a tour trailer, and one of the guys really liked putting in tour grinds on the wedges for those guys because they would come in and ask for it. And I'm like, what do you mean by this? And he showed me what it was all about, and that's how I was able to learn a lot of that. All righty. You are more than welcome, and thank you. All righty. I am struggling to find a good repository for golf shaft information. Where can I find them? A repository for golf shaft information. Oh, well, GolfWorks tends to have one, but it was more they had for club heads, but they also do have, if you go looking through, they have a classification. It's a couple letters, a couple of numbers, and a letter to tell you how that shaft reacts. Okay, whether it produces a high flight, whether it help you stay in line, that kind of stuff. And then there's another guy. His name is Russ. He actually he will spec out each shaft as it comes out, and you pay a monthly fee in order to have access to that information. And I'm trying to figure out I can't remember his name or the name of the shaft or the name of the site. Golf shafts, golf specs, golf shaft. Look up golf shaft specs, and it's not the name of the thing, but I think his name is Russ Ryden. You'll find him. You'll be good to go with that. Is there any senior driver shaft that you would recommend over others? Asked Mike. Hey, Mike, what's going on? If you're talking about, there are senior flex shafts out there, and then there are senior shafts out there. Typically, what I look for in a senior shaft is, number one, it's a lighter weight and it's a little bit more flexible. Okay, and I'm looking at my shafts just so I can get a good idea. So again, I'm going to fault back to Acra. In their GT lineup, they have a blue shaft. The blue shaft promotes a higher ball flight, and it's lighter. It's got a little bit more torque, meaning a bigger number. I like those. If you want to go a little bit exotic, one of my favorites is the Acra Shogun in blue. That thing is absolutely dynamite. Okay. And they have various weights and they have various flexes, to the point for a while there it was being used in long drive competitions for that ultra whip kind of setup. If you were looking for something else, the Callaway I had good luck with is called the Vanquish. I'd have to go back and look at it, but if you wanted something with a little more control, if you could get yourself a 50 gram A-Flex and a Denali, that would be awesome. The Ventus, again, in that same kind of component, that would also be awesome. But those are the other ones. I have a fat lady swing left-handed, and I love it. Arguably my best putting I've done. Isn't it weird that all those other ones are like that, right? Geez. All the older putters are just, you're like, yeah, I putted really great with that. Why did I leave it? Well, because I'm a golfer. And being left-handed doesn't hurt either, bud. Orca. Did you finally decide on Orca? Orca would be cool. I like the guy. Alex at Orca, he's a nice guy. He's got a vocabulary about the size of a whale. He can talk. So you recommend picking up a single line of irons and a single manufacturer of shafts and a single grip manufacturer. Oh, no. But if you're just getting started and you were just looking to help out your friends and your neighbors, then yeah, I would, and I would probably start with Sean or the GolfWorks, and the single manufacturer I would probably go with True Temper, because True Temper has a plethora of different selections, and then a grip manufacturer, sure, that way there's no surprises. But and then use that as a base, and then I would move out from there. All right, Mr. Geiger, fitted for ping 430 irons with the Alta CBs. Yep, those are nice. Coming up from TTXP's 105 shafts on a Callaway's. Big improvement, softer feel, more height distance, easier on wrists and hands. Okay, so the distance from the G430s to the Callaway Steelheads, it should not be a surprise. They're probably a full club maybe a club and a half longer. However, and getting them higher in the air was probably always going to happen. However, I do like the Alta. The Alta CB seems to be a very, very, very popular shaft in either driver and or irons for ping. They're doing a really good job with that shaft. It apparently it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And yeah, I like it. And softer, who doesn't want a softer feel and getting it through there, right? And easier on the wrists and hands. Absolutely, when you're talking about graphite. So one heck of a change there, bud. That's the way to go. All righty. No, I haven't decided yet on which irons to play next season, but Orca is on the list. I've tested the RX and the RS10 CBs. Okay. Yeah. I was just telling you I know I've told you this before. I've got one of the RSs for lefties. I got the very second set that was off the line. The first one went to the owner's dad. So effectively, I got the first one. That's at least what I'm claiming. And I happen to have recoils in them, the original ones. Those are great. All righty. This is, do you have any experience with free flex shafts? If so, what are your opinions? Going for birdie, I have never heard of a free flex shaft in my life. So I can't give you an opinion. Free flex shafts. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. We'll have to figure that one out. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm not seeing on comments tonight. Thanks for joining. I'm not seeing on comments. Are you not staying on comments tonight? Come on, folks. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Liam wants to know, for adding head weight, just use lead tape. Is there a butt weight method you would recommend to complement that? So for adding the head weight, the most proper way of doing it is to pop the head off and put a tip weight in and put it back together. That's probably the best way. It's cosmetically more pleasing, and you can control your swing weight, pretty decent. Lead tape is if you just don't want to fool with it and you don't care about the cosmetics of the club. But I will say, though, that you can actually mess with how the club performs a little bit better with lead tape. You can put it all on the toe, put it on the heel, put it along the bottom in order to get a little bit more oomph out of the flight of the ball. All right. If you're going to butt weight, by far and away the easiest butt weight is, and they're called balance certified or tour lock. And it's a weight that you insert in the back end of the shaft. You use an Allen key and it tightens it up, and you're right there. The second way they have, and I have never done it because I never liked it, is they make a plastic insert that goes in the butt of the shaft. And in that insert, there's a cavity that you fill with tungsten powder and glue, and just keep weighting it until you like it. The final part is what I do recommend is, because it's something that you can fix later down the road, is the same thing as you did on the head. Put it under the grip, under your fingers, on this part of it, that part I'm showing you, and put it underneath there, and put strips of lead, that 1/4-inch lead tape, and put it right under that part of the grip. It's an Autoflex competitor. Okay. Well, I can't say that I've heard of them, to be honest with you. And Autoflex is cool, but you got to be careful with those guys. All righty. Just started my winter cleanup of the golf bag and clubs. Just need to give my irons a light coat of wax. Hard to believe another season has passed. Way to go, Wayne. That's exactly what I tell people. Exactly what you need to do. You clean them up, put a light coat of wax on it, put them in the bag, and then, if nothing else, don't leave them in the garage. Just put them in your closet somewhere in the back until you need them. Perfect way of getting them ready for having them set so they don't corrode and they don't age prematurely. Well done, dude. Thank you. Liam Murray says, thank you so much for being so generous with your wisdom. Liam, it's my pleasure, buddy. My pleasure. I will ask you one of two things here. Number one, like and subscribe. That way we get, a few more going out there. Tell your friends and family about us. And then if you don't mind, check us out on Pars and Pours as well, if you're that guy. Outside of that, you are more than welcome, partner. Okay. Hello, Wayne. Hello, Going for Birdie, Dev Dog, and James Geiger, and Jimmy T. Look at that. Okay, guys, we got down to the very end. It's getting late. We ran over as we normally do, and we did it without Charlie. We did it without Matt and Kent, for that matter. We got a whole bunch of new folks. So, Dev Dog, thank you so much for joining us. Liam, so much for joining us. Wayne, thanks for coming back. Going for Birdies, that's very cool. Appreciate that. Krister, always a pleasure. You're the guy that entertains us the most with seeing what the new changes are. Mike came back for us for a little bit. John, thank you. Pinion, love that. I still like that logo, dude. It's still very, very cool. Lawrence, thanks for coming to talk to us. Jimmy Thompson, there's a new guy. That's thanks for coming. Hopefully you join us again. Hey, there's Robin McCleary. Thank you for joining us, my dear. Frank showed up. M. Jackson Jones, there's another new one. Thank you again, sir. That's most of it. I'm sure I didn't get everybody. Golf Addict, he was in there. Steven, he was in there. Mr. Jesse and Phil K. Okay, guys. So honestly, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Check out our video for tomorrow. We talk more about the changing from graphite and the whole 9 yards, and I appreciate it. And as always, guys, and I will fix it. I swear we won't be doing this again. As far as the black stripes, let's see your scores. Go low.